Okay, so for the last 6 months, I've been posting the same short form videos to Reels, TikTok, and Shorts, and I've been noticing some interesting patterns that I think reveal how to grow on all 3 of these platforms using just one strategy. I was not expecting this. If there's any reason not to just post the exact same content across all 3 short form video platforms, it would basically be this. These results are the most confounding. What are we actually going to do about it? Let's take a look at the numbers. I have collected the data across Reels, TikTok, and Shorts, and we're going to compare it all together here. One important disclaimer here first though, you'll notice throughout the case studies that my content is kind of all over the place, and I want you to know that's intentional. In addition to posting my normal creator tips stuff, I've also been doing a bunch of like van life and travel content as well. Going into the summer, I intentionally wanted to experiment a little bit, just because it's fun, it's a creative refresh, but I also think it's going to be really interesting to compare the performance, not only across these 3 platforms, but also how it's impacted by different niches. However, first and foremost, we're going to get into my good old classic content, which is like creator tips, with a series of short form videos that I did that I'm calling the Influencer Camera Angles series. This was a series of short form videos where I attempted to, in I hope a humorous way, explain the strategy and psychology behind the camera angles that content creators use in their videos. So this graph shows you how the performance of these short form videos compares to one another. You can see the red line here represents the views that we got on YouTube Shorts. Purple is for Instagram and blue is for TikTok. Now you can obviously see right off the bat that that very first YouTube short blew the rest out of the water, which makes it kind of difficult to compare. So I made another version of this graph. Just know that that YouTube short, like, it's way off the chart. And I think there's a lot of interesting variation here that we can dive into. Obviously the first column represents that first video, the second one the second, and the third the final video. Now I want to talk about how the performance on these different platforms compares to each other, but first let's dive into the specifics of Reels. The first reel in this series got 315,000 views, the second 453K, and the third 131K. Now, to be fair, all of these videos performed exceptionally well compared to my typical average, but we can see that the second video here definitely did the best. The final video here having the lowest views makes a lot of sense to me. Like, I would have expected with a series like this for the first one to go off with a bang and then the rest to just kind of slowly fade. You know, sequels are never as good as the original, right? But I find it fascinating that here on Instagram that actually wasn't the case. The first video definitely did really well, we can't deny that. But the second one performed even better. Now, of course, we know that views are not the entire story, and when it comes to posting Reels, we're always going to be wondering, well, how many followers did this actually get me? So let's take a look at some screenshots from my Instagram insights. So what I've included here is obviously the view count, but I've also put below how many followers followed me from that reel. This percent value below is the conversion rate. Now, in this case, I actually calculated the conversion rate based on the non-follower views, knowing that obviously if somebody's already following me and they watch my reel, they can't follow me again, right? So I'm curious how many of the non-followers actually converted into being new followers. You can see that each of these reels performed the best in different categories. So this first one here on the left, this was the one that had the highest number of my existing followers watching my content. The second one came in with the most views, like I mentioned before. And the third one, curiously, has the highest conversion rate, which we're gonna talk about again in a second. I think the most crucial thing to mention here is that view rate. So for the first 2, I've included screenshots of the comparison between the view rate of my followers and non-followers. Unfortunately, for some reason, my Instagram Insights wasn't showing me this graph for the third video, so we just have like the average of everybody's view rate here. It's curious to me that in both of the cases of these first 2 reels, my non-followers actually had a longer view duration than my existing followers, so like, I'm low-key kind of hurt, guys. Like, how come these strangers are more interested in me than people that are already following? I mean, who knows? But what we can definitely see here is having a high view rate is directly correlated to the algorithm recommending your content more. And it seems to me that potentially even the view rate of non-followers is more important to the algorithm than the view rate of your followers. Because if you think about it, it should be more difficult to get people that aren't already following you to watch for longer, because your followers are already interested in who you are. They're more sympathetic to you than just strangers. If you're able to keep a complete stranger, like a non-follower, engaged for longer, that's a really good sign that the content is good. So for both of these reels, we have a view rate of over 70%, which obviously compared to my average is quite good. The thing that confused me the most when I was first comparing these stats is the fact that the third video has the highest conversion rate. You can see it got me over 1,200 new followers, and it has just 130K views compared to that first video with over 300K views that only got me 400 new followers. And here's my theory on that. that. My thought is, for non-followers who saw this third video, maybe their algorithm had already served them video 1 and video 2. Potentially they even liked those videos or engaged with them, which is why the algorithm showed them the third episode. And so then by the time they see video number 3 and they enjoy it, then they're convinced to actually hit the follow button because they've seen me a couple times before. It's kind of like the old marketing philosophy that somebody needs to hear about something 7 times before they actually buy it. In this case, somebody needs to see a random girl on their Instagram Reels feed 3 times before they decide to follow. I have no way of knowing if that's actually the case, but that would make sense to me. And I think that's a really good reason to consider making a series like this. Because the other thing is too, people are more willing to follow you if when they go over to your profile, they see that you've made similar videos to the one that they just enjoyed, because then they feel that trust that they're gonna see more stuff from you that they like. Little did the people who followed me from these reels know that I was about to just go crazy with random content. But anyway, I think what this data teaches us is really 2 main things. 1, retention is everything, especially if you can get non-followers to watch your reel for longer. That's the key to doing really well in the algorithm. Second thing, if you can make some kind of series so you can show up to those same non-followers multiple times, that's a really great way to convert people to becoming followers. Next, I want to talk about YouTube Shorts, where I by far got the most views. The first short came in at a whopping 1.9 million views, which is extremely good for me. Like, this YouTube short is now in my top performing YouTube shorts of all time. The second one followed up at a comparatively lower 156k views, though I do just want to say that would still be really good for me for YouTube Shorts generally. It just goes to show how well that first one performed, that like 156k views can feel like not very much. And then the third one came in at a modest 28k views. This view trajectory makes a lot of sense to me because, again, the sequels are never as good as the original, right? So it makes sense that the first one would do well and the second 2 maybe not as much. But I think what we're all really interested in here is, how did this sudden influx of Shorts views actually impact my long form viewership? At least in my mind, on Instagram with Reels, the goal is to gain followers and grow your community. My goal with YouTube Shorts anyway is to get those viewers to watch my long form stuff, because we all know that long form views is basically where the money is. And it's also where my passion is. Like, I love long form videos more than I like short form, both to watch and to make myself. But also, you earn way more AdSense per view on long form videos and the brand deals pay better and whatever. So for most creators, the goal is to use your YouTube Shorts to promote your long form stuff. So let's take a look inside YouTube Studio, shall we? And we'll see what the impact actually was. Just a note about this, the only way to see like short form viewers converting to long form viewers is via the related video feature. So if you don't know, this is a little link that you can add to your YouTube Shorts that you can link to your other YouTube content. So if somebody's watching your short, they'll see that related video linked at the bottom, and then they can tap on that to go watch it if they want. So to find that, we're gonna go inside YouTube Studio and click on Analytics, of course. For the sake of this example, we're gonna change our date range to May, because that's when I had these videos really pop off. And dang, you can see May was a really good month for me, like 4.2 million views. That's a lot for me in 1 month, so pop off May. If we click over to the content tab and we switch over to videos, you'll see, yeah, that was majority Shorts views. That's where that was coming from. Okay, now that we're in the videos tab, if we scroll down to this section here, how viewers find your videos, and we click on see more, then we can go down here to related Shorts. And that's where we're gonna get our data about how many people tapped on our little related linked videos on our shorts. And as you can see, out of over 3 million Shorts views in the month of May, that generated me just over 1,000 long form views. That's not exactly what I would call a good conversion rate. Now, one thing that I did want to point out here, if we actually look at what these videos are and we compare my like second highest to third highest, you can see they're generating right in the same range of long form views, like 100 to 85. It's not that big of a difference. But what I find really fascinating is if we actually look at the viewership of these shorts, because this short here, that short actually has 156,000 views, and the one below it, which generated almost the same, long form views, like in the same range, has 23,000 views. So obviously this video here had a much better conversion rate, and I think the difference is that video there is actually a cut down from one of my long form YouTube videos, and at the end there's a very clear call to action that says watch the long form video to see the full tutorial. Moral of the story, videos that are designed to do well as short form content will also perform well on YouTube Shorts, of course, but they might not be so great at actually getting you what you probably want, which is views on your long form videos. Okay, now let's take a look at how those same videos performed on TikTok. As you can see, the general view trajectory follows a pretty similar pattern to YouTube Shorts. Our first TikTok came in at 761,000 views, the second one at 31,000 views, so that's like quite a big dip, and the third one came up a little bit at 134K views. This first video, definitely a home run, like that outperforms the majority of my TikToks by a long shot. The second one is more in like normal-ish territory, but still pretty solid, and the third one, definitely like a solid TikTok for me. This one kind of makes more sense to me than the Instagram one, where like the amount of new followers that I gained is a lot more directly correlated to just the popularity of the video itself. And again, I think the main key takeaway, like guys, we can just tell what these algorithms are looking for by the numbers they choose to show us inside the analytics dashboard. The thing that matters is average watch time and whether or not somebody watched the full video. I think if somebody watches your entire TikTok, that is like the gold standard signal to the TikTok algorithm to show that video to more people. So you can see the video that got the most views was the one where the most people watched the full video. Nothing overly surprising to me here. So going back to our overall chart, you can see that there's a little bit of variation, but overall, we've got a pretty similar performance here. Now, as much as I love nerding out about the particulars, and I feel like we could deep dive into this data forever, there's one important thing to mention here. I posted the same 3 short form videos across Reels, TikTok, and Shorts. And with some variation, they performed really well on all 3. Meaning the TLDR is, if it performs really well on one platform, it'll perform well on all of them. And when I looked back through all the content that I've posted over the past 6 months or so, that was the case. If I had one video do really well on Reels or TikTok, I checked the other platforms and it did better than average there too, with the exception of one really key category. The one exception here being B-roll and trending audio videos. You know, this is like the classic viral reel formula. A 7-second B-roll clip, add text on top, and throw a trending audio on it. I looked back through all of my content over the past 6 months, and this was a clear trend. These types of videos perform really well on Instagram. That's kind of their home. That's where they're meant to be. They also do decently well on TikTok. Like, they don't tend to go as viral there, but still solid performers. Meanwhile, over on YouTube Shorts, not so much. I do want to point out one definite exception to that. You can see the video in the bottom right-hand corner here. I actually posted pretty much, well, yeah, the same video in 2023, and it did 2.4 million views. This is one of my top viewed YouTube Shorts of all time. You can see I tried to replicate this success in 2024 and 6.3K views. There are exceptions to every rule, but generally I really believe this. B-roll and trending audio style, short form videos can do really well on Instagram, pretty well on TikTok, but not so great on YouTube Shorts. It's my belief that YouTube Shorts viewers prefer a more YouTube style of short form content. If you've watched my past Instagram strategy videos before, this is kind of what I refer to as original content as opposed to trending content, meaning these types of videos don't depend on a trending audio. They're going to be like talking head videos or tutorials or vlogs. Basically, the short vertical version of your typical long form YouTube videos, hence YouTube style. So I will admit, if there's any reason not to just post the exact same content across all 3 short form video platforms, it would basically be this. The type of thing that's kind of your bread and butter top performing content on Instagram and to some extent TikTok, in my experience, doesn't do as well on Shorts. So personally, I've addressed that in my own strategy by simply creating less of those types of videos. Because as you can see, my theory is the YouTube style short form content, it does well on all 3 platforms. My influencer camera angle series would fall into that category, and spoiler alert, the other case studies we're going to look at would be the same. Meanwhile, those trendy B-roll based videos, I think kind of just do well on Instagram and TikTok. And so you just want to take that into account when you are building your short form strategy. In just a little bit, I'm gonna break down a few sample content calendars that you can screenshot that kind of address these differences and how you can account for that when you're planning your short form content based on your goals and where you're specifically trying to grow. So we'll address that in just a minute, but I thought first you'd probably want to know logistically how to post across all these 3 platforms, especially when there are trending audios in the mix. Okay, before we get into the next case studies, I wanted to show you quickly logistically how I post my content to all 3 platforms, because yes, I do use trending audios, and no, I don't use any kind of automated scheduler. This is a more manual process, but personally I think it's worth it because it allows you to fully take advantage of the features on each platform and you just have a little bit more control. So even though it takes extra time, I think it's worth the effort. Okay, because this is the most complex version, I'm gonna show you how I post a video that I wanna use a trending audio for across platforms. This is the video, it's how much we spend in a month living in the van. So first I'm gonna go ahead and open up Instagram. I'm just gonna go press plus to create a new reel, and I'm gonna just navigate over to that album. I do have the music already in the background because I edited to the music over in DaVinci Resolve, but I'm gonna relink it by pressing that audio button, and I do have this one saved. It's the Disparate Youth song by Santa Gold. Gonna press next and done. And obviously it sounds terrible because the audio is not quite perfectly aligned. So I'm just gonna go into volume here and turn down the volume of my original version to make sure that just the official connected audio is what you're hearing. And then I press next. I keep all of my captions for all my content in Notion. So I'm just gonna go over to my page in Notion here and select it all. Just tap select all and then copy, and then I'll go back over to Instagram and add the caption, and of course you gotta add the cover. Basically from there, I'm just gonna save this as a draft, and when I'm ready to post it, I'll go back into my drafts and post it from there on the day that I want it to go live. Same process applies on TikTok. I'm just gonna go here, select the video. I'm gonna tap on add sound, and honestly sometimes I will just use the audio that TikTok recommends. I'll mute my original sound, and that way TikTok has already provided me with a perfectly good trending audio that kind of matches with the video. So often that works. If I want something specific though, I'll just go ahead and search up the audio. Once again, I add my caption and then basically just save it as a draft. Finally, the same process applies to YouTube. Literally just go press plus, select the clip from my camera roll, and then I just tap on add sound and search it as well. Press the check mark and next. And when it comes to YouTube Shorts, I actually do go ahead and schedule them because it has a really easy built-in scheduler, and yeah, I'm just not as precious about it. Like for whatever reason with Reels and TikTok, I like to go in there and double check it like 3 times before I press publish. And yeah, that's how I do it. I literally just manually attach the trending audio in every app. And this is the nice thing about creating original content, like any of those YouTube style original short forms. Normally I'll just use background music from Epidemic Sound, and then I don't have to fuss with like going to find the trending audio in all these different apps. I can just upload the video and it's ready to go. Okay, we're not gonna dive quite as deeply into these next 2 case studies because otherwise this video would be like an hour long. But I did just want to go through these 2 other examples in slightly different niches because I think it's interesting to analyze how they performed on the different platforms too. So case study number 2 is a series that I did about shipping my van to Europe, which is where I currently am. Let's take a look at the graph, shall we? Okay, first I just need to address this little asterisk. As much as I really try to remember to post all of my short form content on all 3 platforms, sometimes I can neglect YouTube Shorts, I will admit that. So we just have data on YouTube Shorts for that 3rd video because I actually ended up posting the second 2 a little bit later. So they haven't been posted long enough for it to be like good data in this case, but I thought the differences here in performance between Instagram and TikTok were worth commenting on nonetheless. As you can see in both cases, we started off with a banger hit on Instagram and on TikTok, followed up by not as quite successful of a sequel. And I really wanted to dive into this specifically because I think looking at these numbers and learning how to interpret them is really what's going to allow you to refine your craft as a short form creator. So here are a couple screenshots comparing that dip on Instagram and trying to figure out why it happened. So you can see on the left here, that's video number 1 that came in at 103K views. The second one just got 33K views. You can see the first one did so well that I even got this little shout out from Instagram saying new audiences are enjoying this reel. But if we look at the numbers, it becomes really apparent here that reel number 1 had a view rate of 65% compared to just 52% on reel number 2. And as we mentioned before, retention is everything. That's the number 1 signal that the algorithm is looking for to determine whether to show your video to more people. So now that we know that, now that I have those numbers to prove, like, oh, the view rate was lower on my second video, now I want to ask myself, why? Why did that first video perform so much better? And the answer that I came up with is that first video has a better hook. and it includes more B-roll. Basically, I think that I took less time to get to the point of the video in that first reel, and actually the entire thing is just voiceover with B-roll. I never recorded a talking head video for that, whereas the second one, it's a lot more of like seeing me talk to the camera, and I do have B-roll there as well. But I think this is a really clear lesson in the importance of engaging people quickly and keeping the visuals dynamic. We saw a similar dip in the performance of these same videos on TikTok, and I think that we have our explanation there. But what's curious to me is the difference between video number 3 and how it did so well on TikTok, yet just kind of like middle-ish on Instagram. So let's investigate that difference. Again, it always comes back to the watch time. Interestingly, on Instagram, this exact same video had an average watch time of 9 seconds, where over on TikTok, it was 16.2, so like significantly better. As to why, I can only theorize about this, but my thought is, I think TikTok gives you more of an opportunity to be shown to brand new viewers who haven't seen you before, and because my existing audience on Instagram for the most part is not following me for van life content, I know that they came to me for my creator tips. I think my watch time on Instagram is lower because of that, because you can see that over half of the people that watch the reel are my existing followers, and if they're not really like that into van life, they might not have watched the video for as long. This kind of brings me to my theory about the key difference between Instagram and TikTok. I kind of believe it's easier to pivot niches on TikTok, and that's because I think that the TikTok algorithm focuses more on individual pieces of content or individual videos and less so on the creator that made it. Like, the TikTok algorithm doesn't really care what Katie usually posts about, because it's just taking my video and showing it to the people that it thinks is going to be most interested. So even if as a creator you're making a bunch of random different videos, you still have the chance for those individual videos to get an audience, because I think the TikTok algorithm is just a little bit better at analyzing a piece of content and knowing the audience to match it to. However, the inverse of that is, I think that Instagram offers you a better opportunity to really cultivate a community, because Instagram places more emphasis on the creator than on just the individual piece of content. Meaning the content that you make more frequently reaches that same audience, the people who are already following you. And so you're able to show up in their feed more often and build more of a relationship than you are on TikTok. I feel like we've all had that experience where we find a new creator on TikTok, we like a video from them, and then we never see them again. On Instagram, I think it's just a little bit easier to show up in front of your same viewers again and again, therefore being able to actually like establish a community. Basically, the impact of that is TikTok prioritizes discoverability, where Instagram more so prioritizes community. That's not to say it's impossible to have discoverability on Instagram or community on TikTok. I think you definitely can, but I think the way that the algorithms are set up are to prioritize these two different things on each of these platforms. Okay, case study number 3 is the video that I made about this custom handbag workshop in Edinburgh. Honestly, this is just like a goofy little silly one that I made completely for fun, and I was really surprised to see the results because I was not expecting this. This is so outside of my typical niche, like I don't tend to make videos like this, but the people liked it. I think that goes to show that it can sometimes pay off to step outside of your comfort zone and just let your creativity lead you, and don't feel like always so stuck in doing the same thing over and over again. So in this case, you can see this video did serious numbers on YouTube Shorts. It also did really well for me on Instagram, like 472K. I took this screenshot a few days ago. I think it's over 500K views now. That is really good for me on Instagram, like really good. On TikTok, still, you know, a modest showing, but not quite as impressive. That's kind of more like what I would expect on TikTok. Like, not every single video, you know, but it's good, it's fine. To me, these results are the most confounding, and I think that what it goes to show is sometimes it's just about right place, right time. Because truly, there is not one reason here that I can find why it would perform so much better on Instagram than on TikTok. And it's especially surprising to me that it performs so well on YouTube Shorts. If anything, I would have expected that a video like this that's kind of random and outside of my niche would do the best on TikTok, because like I was saying, I think the TikTok algorithm treats each piece of content individually. It's more about the video than it is about the creator. So this video is a bit of an outlier, but I think it's a good lesson in the fact that sometimes a video's performance is about being in the right place at the right time. And This is why it's worth experimenting, because you never know what's gonna pop off for you. Now that we've discussed the nuances of what type of content performs well on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and across all three, what are we actually gonna do about it? Well, I'm gonna make you a content calendar, of course. So I've got a few different content calendars for you to screenshot, and they're based on both what your primary goal is, so basically what platform you care about growing on the most, and I've got an easy and a hard mode for each of them, because you know me, I care about work-life balance. So if all you can manage for now is doing the easy mode, that's totally okay. If you ever want to take things up a notch and grow a bit faster, then I recommend switching over to that hard mode. Okay, so first up, let's talk about if your goal is YouTube growth. So right here, this is the hard version of the content calendar first, and this is based on you already posting one long form video a week. And of course, our goal here is to increase your views on your long form content. So you're gonna do that by posting a combination of cut downs of your long form video and YouTube style original short form. Let's just do a quick review of terms again to make sure we're clear. First up, we've got cut downs. This is basically shortened little clips or teasers for your long form videos. And I want to emphasize here, you're not just taking like a 60-second segment from somewhere in the middle of your video, cropping it so it's vertical, and then posting it on these platforms. Instead, you want to approach this strategically and make sure that you're actually producing something that's interesting to watch on a short form feed. I could probably do a whole deep dive into how to make your cut downs actually interesting, because I just feel like a lot of people make boring cut downs of their videos, sorry to say. So yeah, that's what I mean by a cut down. Now, a YouTube style original, on the other hand, we've been talking about this already. You know, it's like basically a mini YouTube video. It could be a vlog, a tutorial, a talking head video. You're providing value and it's not based on like a trend. And of course, the most straightforward of the three, a trending audio with like a short, you know, B-roll clip, probably adding text on screen, and it's based on something that's trending right now, obviously. Okay, so back to the content calendar. The key thing here is you're gonna make sure to link a related video on every single one of your shorts. And I think it helps that slow and steady climb of like getting short form viewers over to your long form content. I recommend doing 3 cut downs because frankly, it's easier than doing like 5 original videos every week. That's a lot. So you might as well take what you're already making and make it work for you even more. And that leaves you with 2 more like original style short form videos to fill out the content calendar. And of course, all of this you're also going to post on Instagram and TikTok. Now let's talk about easy mode. Basically, this is just decreasing the volume because I know it can be a lot. Like that is a lot of videos to make. Even when you're talking about cut downs, just because you're starting from a long form video doesn't necessarily mean that it takes less time, because you're really crafting it to work in the short form context, and like that's a lot of skillful editing that's required. So in this version, you're just going to do 1 cut down and 1 original short form, and of course syndicate those to the other platforms as well. Okay, but what if your goal is Instagram growth? Because maybe you don't make long form YouTube videos, so it doesn't matter as much to you. This is what I'm going to recommend for you. You can see we've brought in the carousel format as well, which I've made an entire video talking about why carousels are so important in the Instagram algorithm these days. And of course, we're going to incorporate some trend-based content because that kind of thing can really pop off on Instagram. That can be a great way to reach new viewers. And then come in with the original content. That's how you really nurture the relationship with your community and provide a lot of value. Plus, it's those original style videos that are going to do better on like YouTube Shorts and I think TikTok as well, honestly. Remember, you can repost carousels to TikTok as well. You can do like photos over there. Doesn't really work on YouTube Shorts. So yeah, this is your Instagram / kind of TikTok growth plan on hard mode. If we want to bring that down to easy mode, I'm going to suggest doing 1 trend video a week. These tend to take less time than original ones, so you know, it's easy to do that every week. And then you're going to alternate each week between doing a really high quality carousel or an original style video. So 1 week it'll be trend and carousel, the next it'll be trend and original reel. And of course, you're going to repost these to the other platforms too. Finally, if you are like me and you're a fully hybrid creator and you're growing on, you know, YouTube, but you also care about your Instagram and TikTok growth, this is the content calendar I'm going to recommend to you. As you can see, we're really focusing on original style content first because that tends to be what performs well across the board, but we still are going to lean into doing a trend once a week because, like I said, they're easier to churn out and they can do really good numbers on Instagram and TikTok. Again, we're doing the whole carousel and original video alternating thing because I do think it's important to incorporate carousels over on Instagram. However, you do get less bang for your buck with that because you can't repost them easily to shorts. So in an ideal world, honestly, this is what I would be doing too. Like, this is what I would like to aim for. I recognize that this is a lot. Like, it takes a lot of time and coordination to do all of this. So like, I'm not trying to pressure you because I certainly don't execute on this every single week. But based on my experience, based on the data, and based on what I've seen performing well for other creators, I really do believe that this is the right formula for balanced growth across YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Since this entire video has basically been a data-backed deep dive into how to get more views on your short form content, I feel like I can't finish this video without saying this. It's funny how you always want your content to go viral until it does. All of a sudden you can get an influx of a ton of negative comments from a bunch of strangers that you're not used to receiving, and the truth is, going viral can be terrible for your mental health. For me, I just know there's a certain view threshold that once my videos cross it, I just know there's gonna be nasty comments in there about my body and my weight, and I would rather just not look after that point. So first, I just want to take a second to say thank you. If you've made it to this point in the video, then undoubtedly you're one of my ride or dies who leaves me positive and encouraging comments, and you're the reason that I don't feel nervous to open the comment section of my long form videos. So thank you for making this such a positive space for me. But I also just want you to know that if you end up in a similar situation where you're kind of scared to check your notifications, you're not alone. It's not just you. There's nothing wrong with you. It just happens to everybody. Once you get in front of a large enough audience, there's gonna be some mean people in it. Just remember that when people leave hateful comments, it says more about them than it does about you. So more than anything in this video, I hope you can take that along with you as you continue on your content creator journey. Let me know in the comments if you like this kind of slideshow style video, because I haven't done one like this before, but it was lots of fun for me. And as always, I hope that you're having adventures and following your dreams, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!